Welcome into another episode of New England Sports Guys podcast. I'm your host, Ian Mann. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get into there's a bunch of stuff happening, mostly in the NFL right now, because it's the first week. I've been excited. I've been waiting for this for so long. And Russell Wilson got a new deal. Darren Waller got a new deal. Both of those are kind of unprecedented. We're going to go over our Patriots win-loss predictions.
Lamar Jackson didn't get a new deal.
Yeah, he didn't get a new deal, so that's kind of surprising. We're going to recap week one. We're going to talk about some surprises that we saw. We'll probably reevaluate some teams. And then obviously we'll talk about the Seahawks and the Broncos, clock management and how that game went last night, because that's the most current news. And then we'll talk about some extracurriculars. But before we get to that, let me bring in my co-host to the podcast. Mitty, what have you been up to?
What is up, E? Let's see. So we talked last week at some point. Played some golf this weekend, and it was so slow on Saturday. So slow. Well, you and I obviously played, but so slow that we just said, screw it after 9. 2 hours, 20 minutes, and we hadn't even teed off on 9 yet is banana lands.
But there's a twosome in front of us, and they were hung up as well. They weren't the ones holding us.
Yeah,
up.
No.
And then we were a threesome, so both of our groups should have just been like moving right along.
Right. Yeah, I think the course, as much as I love the course, I think they do a really poor job of actually enforcing pace play rules. So that sucked. But the nice thing is I came back to the house, and Casey Patrick and I, we sat by the fire, had a fire, and hung out for the next 2.5 hours, which we wouldn't have done normally because we had an afternoon tea time. Let's see. Sunday, I didn't actually get to watch the early games because was out with the Gendrons. We went
family time.
We had some family time on Little Sebago. We went and sat by the lakeside, and it's this little like beach area that pretty nice little beach. We sat there for a little while and then got some pizza, hung out with the Gendrons for a while, and then I came back and watched the 4 o'clock games. I didn't get to watch all of the Sunday night game, so I don't have all the insight on that, but that was Tampa Bay and the Cowboys.
Oh, you didn't miss anything?
No. I missed a lot of field goals from what I saw in the recap. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. We got our first board meeting coming up on Friday, which I'm pretty excited about. And then one thing, I don't know if I've told you this, but at the Liberal Cup, right in Hollowell, which is one street down from where we work, there's to get your mug there, you have to drink 250 beers in a year.
That shouldn't be a problem for you.
No, I'm at 217, so the clock's counting. And I started in end of February, so got a couple beers left on that. What's that? 34? No, 33.
So just do it all tomorrow.
Wish could. That'd be a pretty poor productive day for work, but no. So that's pretty well in the bag. I mean, it's definitely in the bag to get. Hoping to do it between this week and next week, because the week after, the last week of September, I traveled to Idaho for a training, and then if I'm back the first week of October, but then I'm gone the next 2 weeks after that. I'm traveling, so I really got to get it in the next couple weeks. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff.
I thought we played well in the Monday Night Scramble.
I thought we did. The Monday Night Scramble was fun. I played hockey right afterward, which was good. I actually wasn't. The lungs weren't as bad as I thought they would be. I scored 2 goals because I'm a fucking boss. But other than that, no, it was a lot of fun. it was nice to kind of get that in. And then turns out in October we're going to move to Wednesday nights for hockey. So I'll Monday Night Scramble, depending on how long they go, but that'll be even easier because then I just hang out. But anyway, what do you got going on? I rambled for a while.
I was mostly just excited that football's here and that we played golf and then we played some more golf. That's all I really care about.
Sure.
And
The
then
U.S. Open happened.
it did. Yep. Watched a bunch of that. I kind of feel like an Avenger or a superhero because I saved the world because I beat Tyler. I did everybody a favor. I kept the evil away.
Yeah.
It's like defeating Thanos.
I mean, I beat him in the championship last year. Everybody was rooting for me except for Tyler.
Yep. Oh, and he was talking a bunch of crap from the start of the year, and then I
he
ended
talked
up
trash. He talked trash. Stephon Diggs went off on Thursday night. He was talking trash then.
Yeah. So I gave him a little teddy bear dancing that he did to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I'm surprised he didn't come unglued when it was slipping away last night. Jerry Jeudy caught that bomb. Jerry Jeudy went from 0 points to like 14 points because he caught a 60-yard bomb. But anyway, we all kind of he is very competitive about his fantasy football and likes to chirp. That's part of the game. So it's always nice to stick it to him. So anyway, let's get right into it. We'll talk about the Patriots. I think we both had family obligations while that game was on, but I was able to watch a lot of it, and it was to be expected. I picked Miami to beat them that game, so I mean that's not. Did they get blown out? No, but were they really that close? No. Like, I feel like they got thoroughly dominated in every phase of the game. It just wasn't pretty, but I'm sure the Patriots will correct those things. We had a couple injuries. Ty Montgomery's down. Mac Jones hurt his back, but he should be back. But Ty Montgomery's going to go to the IR. Miami looked good, even against the Patriot defense, which should be like top 10. So,
you say that, we'll see.
I mean, our weakest spot is like linebacker. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. But yeah, there's nothing really to talk about as far as the Patriots go. I mean, it was kind of a very blasé game. We don't have an offense coordinator per se. Nobody thought we were going to beat Miami, and we didn't. We looked bad. So, what did you think about it? Did you see any highlights or anything?
A little bit, and I listened to some of it while we were driving around. Turnovers were bad. I mean, first drive of the game, Mac Jones, pick in the end zone. That's a tough one. And then,
oh, sorry, it wasn't a pick six. It was a strip sack. That's what it was.
Oh, I thought it was a pick in the end zone. It was a pick in the end zone. But anyway, which it was a ball to Devontae Parker and 50-50 ball, and he's supposed to be good at those. So that kind of sucks. And then there was a fumble, and I can't remember. Oh, it was a fumble by Mac Jones.
Yeah, I was thinking the strip sack that they brought in for 6. Yeah.
Yep. There was that, and then at the end of the game, the game's still in reach. I think there was like 11 minutes left, and you're down 20-6, and you're driving, and then Nelson Aguilar catches a pass and fumbles it. I mean,
yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough way to lose. I mean, Patriots, they're shitty in Miami, and I got a buddy at work who's a Dolphins fan, who is like basically put Tua in the Hall of Fame because he's 4-0 against Patriots. And I was like, that is your measuring stick, like
to greatest beat the defensive Patriots? Coach of all time can't beat Tua.
But everybody else in the league can, so I'm not that worried about it. Anyway, yeah. So that was tough look for week 1. I picked Miami, even with the spread. Expected Miami to win. I mean, Patriots in Miami are just bad historically. So
yeah, and I'm not worried about it. The Patriots tend to get better as the season gets on. They're one of those teams that very rarely do they like start out hot and then get flat. They tend to get better as the season goes. So I'm not really worried about it.
well, we'll see with our picks because you and I have different picks.
You really down on them or what?
I'm not high on him. I'll say that.
I'm not high on them. I gave them 7 losses. Anyway, so let's recap. Were there any surprises that caught you this week? I think the Rams coming out as flat as they did was a surprise, and the Bills being as good as they were, like actually living up to the hype. I thought that was a surprise for me because they had a new offense coordinator. Their OC went to be head coach for the Giants, and they came out and they just kind of smashed the Rams. They beat them pretty heavily in every phase of the game. So that was a surprise for me.
Little surprising they came out with so much pep, especially in LA. But
Yeah,
I
on the road.
wouldn't. Mostly the same team. Yeah, added Von Miller. That's that's an add certainly, but mostly the same team, same head coach. I expected him to come out
Added James Cook and he
buzzing.
fumbled on his first carry.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you can't knock him for that because Kareem Hunt did on his first career carry, and turns out he's pretty good.
Yeah, he ended up with like 200 yards that game. That was against the Patriots.
Yeah, we were at that game. But anyway, I was not as surprised about the Bills as I was about the Rams coming out so flat. I figured they were going to.
You're the defending Super Bowl champions. Theoretically, you got an upgrade when you got Allen Robinson as your number 2.
It was like they had a Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope they improve, but maybe
I think a lot
Stafford's
of it,
elbow is more of an issue than they're calling it.
I think a lot of it had to do with like Stafford didn't play, Cooper Kupp didn't play. A lot of the starters didn't play in the preseason. So that's the first month's going to be preseason.
Sure, could be
for some of these teams, because those are the teams that are big picture teams. They're not worried about right now. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to move on to the next one.
Oh, one that's not on our list is the Steelers and Cincinnati, the Bengals game. Steelers kind of won that one. I know
they also could have lost that game. That was a coin flip.
Sure. But being that close against the same team that just ran it back from the Super Bowl.
They had chances. They missed a couple field goals. They didn't challenge a touchdown that they had that they scored. Jamar Chase scored a touchdown, but they didn't challenge it. So they ended up getting 0 points on that drive, which is real smart by Zach Taylor. So I mean, they could have won that game or should have won that game. They just, made some dumb decisions.
Sure.
That game almost ended in a tie.
At 2020, which was the other game you're going to talk about in just a second.
The Colts and Texans ended up in a tie. Ties are stupid.
Ridiculous.
I don't like that they have one set of rules for the regular season and one set of rules for the playoffs. There just shouldn't be any ties. Just put a time limit. Go back to sudden death if you have to. I just don't like the idea of the tie. What's going to happen? People get free football. Oh my God, that's a bad thing.
I don't like the rule between the AL and the NL, but what are you going to do?
They're going to move away from the DH. They're going to put the DH in both leagues. That's what they're going to do.
Which is ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing in the world. But anyway, we're talking about football.
So the Bears upsetting the 49ers, that was a huge shocker. I think weather played a big part of that. It was like a monsoon out there. It's ridiculous.
I think that, and I also think Trey Lance is bad.
Sure, but the weather didn't help him either.
Sure.
The Giants upsetting the Titans, I didn't really see that. That's a little more plausible, but not really. because the Giants are going to be bad too. But Saquon Barkley looked like Saquon of his rookie year, like he was unstoppable.
Yeah, he had a hell of a year or a game.
And then the Seahawks upsetting the Broncos, that was kind of another one. I think everyone painted the Broncos to beat them, and the Broncos really should have beaten them by at least 2 touchdowns. But they fumbled twice on the goal line, lost both fumbles.
Both of them, yeah.
And then they made some questionable time decisions later on. So another one that was surprising is the Packers failed to cover Justin Jefferson. And I'm not saying that like Justin Jefferson isn't good and like won't get his catches and won't put up big numbers. My point is that they play him twice a year. They know who he is. And they still were like, nah, you can get nine touchdowns for 181 yards and a touchdown. That's no big deal.
They are who we thought they were.
And then the Colts just cut their kicker, Rodrigo Blankenship, who they drafted a couple years ago out of Georgia. They ended up cutting him. He hasn't really been right. He hasn't been right since like week 5 of last year when he got hurt, I guess.
Yeah. Hip, I think. I think
he busted up his hip, so I don't know. Maybe he just can't kick it straight anymore.
Going back to the Packers, and I won't blame it all on the Packers defense. Yeah, they couldn't cover Justin Jefferson. It's tough. He's going to be top 2 or 3 wide receiver every year for the next probably 10 years in the NFL.
Sure, but did you see any of those catches? There's not a guy within 10 yards of him.
No. I'm not.
And on a couple of them, there's 20 yards away. Like I
fully agree.
That's blatantly bad.
Fully agree. The Packers' offense was fucking awful.
It was. But their defense shouldn't have been that bad.
They scored 7 points. I mean, Minnesota only scored 20. It's not like they fucking blew the doors off of them.
No.
You would think the Packers can score more than 20 points a game.
Here's one more surprise that I didn't put on there. The Eagles scored 38 and the Lions scored 35.
Yeah, Lions. I'm rooting for those guys.
Yeah, me too.
I hope the Lions actually finish 500 this year. Well,
close to 500.
I would love to see them finish there. And here's why. Because their stud wide receiver, which wide receiver room in Detroit right now is probably their best position at this point. Mm-hmm. Because their best wide receiver is on injured reserve for the year. He'll come back next year.
Yeah, or later this year, yeah.
You know, so
I want them to do better and then keep the coach and keep building what they're doing.
Yeah, and you could probably get in next year's draft, you could probably get a decent quarterback even mid or later in the draft. Because it's going to be a pretty big what's the word I'm looking for?
Potential.
Like offensive point group, the key positions or whatever fantasy football positions, wide receiver, quarterback, running back.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks coming out, like 7 compared to 1 this year.
Yeah.
So I'm really rooting for the Lions. We'll see what happens, but before DeAndre Swift, like their best player is their center. Like, or if you don't count DeAndre Swift, their best player was their center before this year's draft.
Although Jamal Williams had a better day than DeAndre Swift did.
DeAndre Swift still scored like 25 points. So
I know, and then Jamal Williams scored like 28.
Yeah. Perfect.
Ridiculous.
So Russell Wilson got a new deal. He got an extension, $245 million.
Right after we talked last week.
Yeah. So we posted it, and then like an hour later, breaking news. He gets this deal, and I was like, whatever. $165 million guaranteed. It's new Broncos ownership, so I'm sure he like went straight to them right after because he got traded before they bought the team. Anyway, he saw like new money. Was like, I can go get it. So he's on. They have their quarterback through 2028. That's gonna be great. But we'll talk about that snafu later and why if you paid this quarterback that much money, like you should let him, play for the win.
Russ Cook.
Darren Waller got an extension, which is unusual because he had 2 years left on his deal and he's over 30, or he is 30. So it's an unusual. So he's got a 5-year deal now for $66.25 million.
Wasn't he a late bloomer though? I mean, he's only been relevant for the past maybe 3 years.
Almost all tight ends are late bloomers.
So
They just take a long time to develop. And I think now with the Josh McDaniels, he can plug him into the offense as like Gronk,
sure.
or at least the pass catching part of Gronk.
The pass, yeah, I don't know how well his blocking is, but
Yeah.
maybe closer to Travis Kelce type.
Yeah. And then some more shocking news is that Lamar Jackson did not get a deal before the season started. So now he won't talk to them again. I'm going to put air quotes around everything. He won't talk to them until next season. But if they came up to him with like what he wanted now, he'd probably accept it. Like, I think he's looking for no less than what Deshaun Watson got in guaranteed money.
That's what he wants, is guaranteed money.
That's the floor. That's the bare minimum he would take.
Yep.
And if I was the Ravens, I wouldn't pay that. I guess there was a rumor that he turned down a $250 million deal. I'm not sure how much was guaranteed or not.
I think it was like 130.
Yeah, and he was like, no. Because like Russ got more than that. And who else got more than that? Another quarterback recently.
So my problem is I agree with you, but my problem is win some hardware and then you can talk about getting guaranteed money.
He won the MVP.
Has he won a playoff game?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm not sticking up for Deshaun Watson because he hasn't done any of this.
So right now he's making like 27 million or something like that. That's like whatever his 5th-year option is. So if he pulls a Joe Flacco and wins the Super Bowl, what are the Ravens going to do? Just bend over like they did for Joe Flacco?
They did it once. Why not? Why not again? But no, I don't think Lamar Jackson's a good enough quarterback to actually win on even a playoff game, probably.
What I would do with that if I was them?
Trade him away. Get some
Trade
picks.
him away. Get some picks. I trade him to the Cowboys right now.
I don't think the Cowboys would pay a high price for him, but you could probably get.
But here's my reasoning: is their backup is almost as good.
Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
I think is something like that.
He did great when he was out with an injury.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him enough to know if he's a better passer or not. But as far as like running the offense, I thought he played fine.
Stats wise, I mean, it's tough to say. Call it all on stats, right? But stats wise, he did a pretty decent job.
But I wouldn't put that kind of money on a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Just he takes too many hits. One hit and his career is over. So I don't.
Turns out RG3 had a tough time.
Yeah, you could say that about anybody, but him and Josh Allen are putting themselves in positions where they can get knocked out.
Well, in you say that, yes, I fully agree on the rushing and that sort of thing, but a guy who's a pocket passer that doesn't rely on his legs, you can still throw the ball. Josh Allen is different because he can still throw the ball. Lamar Jackson, he can't throw outside the 20s or outside the numbers.
Maybe, but I know Rashad Bateman caught a bomb from him.
Right in the middle of the field.
It was right down the middle.
So if you force everything to the sidelines, I don't think he's going to be able to survive in the league. If he gets an injury, he's a great scramble quarterback. He's elite in winning games and getting yardage, getting that first down, but he's just not. He's not for me.
The team.
Yeah. He's the best running back they have on that team.
Yeah, it's hard to tag wins to the quarterback because the Ravens won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and we're very good with even Joe Flacco, and he's not.
The Ravens won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer.
It's true.
So.
Yeah, that organization is just built differently, so they can win with basically anybody. But yeah, he's just a different style of football that we don't like or appreciate. unless you drafted him in fantasy football.
I mean, I will draft him in fantasy football. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, two different things.
Yep.
So let's go to fantasy football results. I'm 2-0.
Jesus Christ! I knew you were going to bring this up.
You like that?
I'm 1-1 in Dynasty, so
yeah. And you should have been 0-2, but Dak broke his thumb in that game on Sunday night. You were like 4 points away from losing, which is like 2 passes, and he broke his thumb. You were this close to losing.
I beat him by just under 6 points. So let's pump the brakes here. But
yeah, Dak would have thrown 1 touchdown and you lost.
Also, Devonta Smith had 0 points. He went over. But I had Cam Akers that went over. So evens out.
So how'd you do in your redraft leagues?
So I guess turns out one of them is a keeper league. My work league's a keeper league. Also on Sleeper.
Like a 1-person keeper or 2-person?
Yeah, 1-person keeper.
Yeah, that's not bad.
So, but we like scrambled to put this whole thing together. So it's not set. And I was talking to one of my buddies who is the commissioner, and I was like, well, we should start to set the rules because, I mean, I picked Jamar Chase at number 10 in the first round. And what I like to do is if that person is a first round keeper, or if you drafted them in the first round, you're not allowed to keep them. So that puts more of the good players back in the pool rather than some guy keeping Jamar Chase for the next 10 years. So anyway, I lost in that league, which I was upset about. I had a rough. Well, let me start off by saying I had a rough sports betting and fantasy weekend.
It's because you suck.
Don't get me wrong, I went 2-2 in fantasy football. But I do a survivor pool, which I'll explain in just a second, but I lost that one. I do a weekly pick'em at the bar I go to. Got crushed in that one. And then we do our yearly weekly pick'em. I don't know if that makes sense, but we do that. And that I did okay. 6 wins. But that's on Vegas, opening spread. So 6 wins. Winner this week had 8 wins. Tied, but won on tiebreaker Monday Night Score. So that was cool. But let me go back to the survivor pool. So I'll tell you who I picked.
Let's move on to our picks.
Well,
our win-loss.
Let's our win-loss. What? Oh, just this will be a quick story, I promise. So survivor pool. I picked Detroit because let me tell you why. The first week and only the first week, if you lose, you get to put $10 back into the pot and continue on. So I picked a team that had a chance to win, but I probably won't pick them the rest of the year. So it gives me kind of a week 1 buy almost for $10.
I think this week coming up is the only week they're favored for the first time in like 24 games.
Yeah, agreed. I don't remember who they're playing this week, but yeah, no, I saw that. Pretty wild. All right, now let's go over Dolphins picks.
Okay, so we don't have Timo's picks, but we can get his at some point. We both picked Miami. Well, we're not saying that just like after the fact. We literally just I didn't think we were going to win that one. Looking at Smitty's, it looks like he has us losing to the Dolphins twice.
Haven't beat him in 4 tries straight.
Yeah, and this is a new coach. So I have a real big problem about this stretch coming up against the Steelers, Ravens, Packers, Lions, and Browns, technically. That's like a tough stretch. All those teams are like marginally good. In week 2, we both have the Steelers. I'm only going with that because TJ Watt just got hurt.
Agreed.
And the Steelers have question at quarterback, so like their offense is questionable. And if it's just going to be a ground and pound game, I think the Patriots can win that, especially just because we always beat the Steelers, literally always. So I don't. And Najee Harris is a little banged up too. He will play, but he's got a bad ankle. Week 3 against the Ravens. Yeah, we could definitely lose that game. And same thing again the next week against the Packers. I have us winning both of those games. I'm kind of torn about those because the Patriots didn't look good. The Packers looked real bad. So I think we could beat them, but if the Packers figure it out in a month, we're gonna get smoked.
And it's in Lambeau, so there. I don't have high hopes for that, and I just think Baltimore's a better team.
Baltimore is a better team. Yep.
I think they're gonna beat the hell out of the Patriots. I don't think that one's actually gonna be that close.
I think we're gonna win because we're playing at home, and I think we're gonna do something. I think we're gonna copycat what Miami did, technically what Brian Flores did to Lamar Jackson last year, and just blitz safeties after him all game.
We'll see.
Which the Patriots don't like doing, but I think it's a formula that I think more teams will copy because Miami ended up smoking the Ravens that game. Let's see. Week 5, we both have us beating the Lions. We could lose that game. But we'll take the W's. And then at the Browns, I think we can beat the Browns. Deshaun Watson still won't be there. Still Jacoby Brissett.
You have it down as a loss.
What'd I say? We're going to win?
Yeah.
No, we're going to lose. Sorry. Even without them, they're a much better team than we are. They can just run the ball straight at us, and I don't think we can defend that. We're going to beat the Bears. We're going to beat the Jets. There's no real questions there. The Colts, it's at Indy. Sorry, it's at home. Sorry. I think Indy's going to come in and smoke us just like they did last year. We don't have an answer for Jonathan Taylor, and they have an even better quarterback now than they did last year. Michael Pittman's in his second year. Why do you think the Colts are going to beat us? Or why do you think the Patriots are going to beat the Colts?
I think the Patriots are going to win.
Why?
I think the Patriots are going to win because
of all teams, that's the one I question the most.
Really, not the week after the bye?
No.
Wow. I think the Patriots are going to win. I don't think Jonathan Taylor, I think he's going to have a decent game, like 85 yards and a touchdown. I don't think he's going to do that well. And the Patriots know how to play Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's not like a new quarterback where they have no idea how to play him. Same with Frank Reich. I think they can stop them. And although the Indy defense is pretty good, they just tied Houston.
Darius Leonard wasn't playing. He's their best defensive player.
Sure.
He should be back by that time.
Okay. But you tied Houston. Is one guy going to put you over the top?
I think Houston's better than people think they are.
You think Houston's better than the Patriots?
That'd be close.
I think they're pretty close, and they just tied them. So maybe pump the brakes on how bad that win is.
No, the Colts are going to come in and lambaste us. So then we have a bye week, and then we get at home versus the Jets. I'm going to take us because the Jets can't beat anybody. Smitty thinks the Jets are going to beat us. I don't know if he's just doing the splits, but I have a loss against the Vikings. The Vikings are going to crush us. Smitty thinks the Vikings are going to win. I have us in week 13 splitting with the Bills. This is the first of the split. I'll take, I don't know which one we're going to win and which one we're going to lose, but I'll call this one as the win, and then at the Buffalo we'll lose that one. But I think last year is the other way around. So Smitty has us losing the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. Bill Belichick's not going to lose 6. What, did Bill Belichick die right here in week 12?
100% against the Bills at Arizona. Going to lose that.
Arizona stinks.
Sure. but they get DeAndre Hopkins back. They're going to have a full team. J.J. Watt's going to be back. They're going to be full seasons. The Raiders. Look how bad they looked against the Raiders' second stringers in preseason.
The Cards just lost by 30 to the Chiefs.
Sure, Chiefs are good.
Yeah, but they shouldn't lose by 30 to them.
The Cards won the division last year. I don't think they're going to be that much of a step back.
I think the Cards have a lot of names, but very little depth.
If everybody's a starter, you don't need depth.
Yeah, but it's a long season. We play them late in the season. We'll see if they're still healthy.
I think the Raiders are going to. It's at the Raiders. Going to lose that one.
I have that as a loss.
Bengals at home against the Bengals. I think the Bengals are a better team.
That's a loss.
Home against the Dolphins. I think Tua is going to go 5-0 against the Patriots.
I have this one as a win. This one's in January. I don't think those fish like it when it's very cold, so I'll take the snow game for the Patriots. It's gonna be slippery, lots of fumbles.
Maybe it'll be cold, definitely, but I don't know if it'll be slippery. And then at the Bills are just going to take both of them. We're going to lose both to Miami, both of the Bills, and split with the Jets this year.
We're not going 1-5 in the division.
100% we're going to go 1-5.
Oh, all right. Here's betting time. Somebody must be drinking.
I just crushed 2 beers during this.
What do you want to bet? The division record.
Well, let me ask you. What do you think over under is? What do you think they're going to go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4-2 against the division. They're a worse team than they were last year, and they didn't go 4-2 against the division.
I don't think we're a worse team.
Oh, okay.
Miami got better. We didn't get worse.
Put it at 3 games.
Yeah.
No, we'll put it at 2.5 for betting. 2.5, so there's no push. 2.5 games, over under. You're taking over, I'll take under.
Over. Are
you throwing this on the list? So you got to win 3 games in division. You better hope they win both Jets games.
They're going to win both Jets games.
And sneak one out against the Bills or the Dolphins.
And they're going to.
You say that.
That's not a problem. Bill Belichick's not going to lose 6 games, or if we want to look at this, he's not going to go 1-7 down the stretch.
This is going to be.
Is this Bill's last season? Is he just walking out the door?
No, I don't think so.
Is he getting fired?
No, fuck no.
So what makes you think he's going to go 1-7 down the stretch?
Because the team's not that good.
It's not as bad as you think it is. I don't. So my record is a little optimistic. I have us at 10-7. It's probably going to be more like 8-9 or something like that. 9.
I have it at 6-11. I'm a little on the pessimistic side, but not that much different than what you think is actual.
Yeah, we could sneak in, but only if Miami tanks and we pick up a couple victories. But we do have a tough stretch, and we'll know a lot in the next 4 weeks. That is 5 weeks. That's a brutal stretch against, like I said, the Steelers, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Browns. Lions are a lot better than we think they are. We also got the Vikings later, Cards later, Raiders later, Bengals later, Bills twice. It's a tough schedule.
I think Patriots are going to have a top 10 pick this year.
Do you think the Patriots play into it?
No. 100% no. I don't think Bill Belichick would let him play into it.
Okay, but I don't know. A top 10 pick doesn't help us really.
Might get an offensive lineman or a linebacker.
Have you seen our drafts?
Offensive linemen are usually pretty good.
Who was our last a good mid-round pick from the Patriots? Was that Gerard Mayo? or was it Deontay Hightower? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
One of them was a
Hightower.
first rounder.
Hightower was a first rounder, 100%. We drafted him in 2013.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting year. We'll see how the offense turns around. We don't have. I think Belichick needs to. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's just waiting for Billy O'Brien to come back after he plays out his Alabama contract, or where he's going to find an offense coordinator. Because I don't think anybody thinks it's Matt Patricia. I don't think anybody thinks it's Joe Judge.
I mean, I guess Mac Jones last year, first round pick. Christian Barmore, second round pick last year. Kyle Duggar, second round pick 2 years ago.
Yeah.
First rounders though, N'Keal Harry, miss. Isaiah Wynn, probably a miss. Sony Michel, also a first rounder, miss.
He wasn't a miss. He won a Super Bowl. He was instrumental in us winning the Super Bowl. We were like, we're going to run the ball from week 8 until we win the Super Bowl. That's what we did. So I don't want to call that one a miss.
Before that, Malcolm Brown, 2015 first rounder, number 32.
Yeah, that was a miss. He had like a bad knee, I think.
Dominic Easley, 2014 defensive tackle.
No, that was a miss. Yeah, so
Chandler Jones and Donta Hightower in 2012.
That wasn't bad.
Both of those guys, huge. Nate Solder, year before. He did great for the Patriots, was awful for the Giants.
Yeah, it was a great deal. It's the reason why we didn't re-sign him.
2010, Devin McCourty, first rounder, and then 2008.
We can draft defensive players, no doubt.
Gerard Mayo.
But yeah, we usually don't have a pick that high. And last year's draft wasn't bad. We got Mac Jones and a few other people. But the guy who did that David Ziegler is the guy who did that draft. He's in Las Vegas. So I don't know if that power went back to Bill now that the GM is kind of gone. So anyway, it'll be interesting. I don't know. Going 1-7 down the stretch, New England might start lighting things on fire, tipping over cars.
Speaking of that, did you see the fire in Miami?
No.
Some meathead left a grill going during the game, and it lit like 8 cars on fire.
Nice.
Yeah, fucking. They're not the smartest. There's a reason they call it Florida, man.
So we'll see. We'll get Travis's thing. I bet Travis will pick a number between mine and yours. But anyway, we're not super optimistic about this year with the Patriots. We're not as confident in Bill and Tom Brady as we used to be because Tom Brady's not there. Mac Jones is good, but he's still coming along. But when you lose your OC like that, that's a problem. It's a stability problem. So we don't know if I don't think he'll regress, but I don't think he'll necessarily have the same growth that he did last year. Anyway, on to other news, injury news. Dak Prescott broke his thumb. The doctor says they're out 6 to 8 weeks, and Dr. Jerry Jones said he's out 4 weeks. So
fucking Jerry Jones.
I guarantee Jerry Jones got on a phone call after the game last night and asked his guys, like, best case scenario, and they said maybe 4 weeks if everything goes perfect. And then
he was like, deal 4 weeks.
Yeah, so he throws out a timetable that's like unrealistic, and everybody on TV shows today was like, "Yo, man, that's your thumb, and you use it to like grip everything, and then like all the 4 or 5 weeks that you can't throw the football, your wrist and forearm sort of atrophy." So I don't think he's going to be back, or if they do, they're going to rush him back, and they're going to be bad anyway. So Cowboys season's done. Because they got to go to Cooper Rush, and that's not good. TJ Watt tore his pec, but I guess after an evaluation today, he tore his pec muscle, not his tendon. So he's only going to miss 6 weeks and not the whole year. Jamal Adams. Is it Jamal Adams?
Jamal Adams, yep.
He tore his quad tendon off the bone in his leg. So he's going to miss probably the year. I don't know how long that injury is, but I would imagine that's a long injury. Ty Montgomery, he just went to the IR with a knee injury. of course, he scored a touchdown last week, which helped nobody's fantasy team. Keenan Allen got a hamstring. He'll miss another week. George Kittle was out last week. I don't know. I'm sure there are other injuries, but those are the major ones that I noticed.
Yep.
So anyway, did you watch any of the game last night? Probably not, because you were playing hockey.
Only a little of like the third, fourth quarter after hockey was over. I listened to the Manning cast on my ride home. I put it on Bluetooth and listened to it.
Oh yeah, I saw Buck and I saw Troy, and then I immediately changed the channel.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to hear either one of those guys. So the Broncos at the end of the game. So anyway, the Broncos had every opportunity to win that game, and they just didn't. They had 2 goal lines where they fumbled out the goal line and lost the ball, didn't recover it. So it's kind of reminds me of that Super Bowl where we won and they threw a pass and went the other way for Super Bowl. So it's 4th and 5. It's you paid Russell Wilson this contract. He's supposed to be the guy. And instead of going for it on 4th and 5, you have plenty of timeouts. Just throw it to the soft spot in the feet, open to the field, because typically people don't want to lose the game by getting a ball thrown over their head.
Yep.
So the defense plays back on their heels a little bit. You just throw it over the middle somewhere, throw a little dump pass like we saw the Rams doing to Darrell Henderson against the Bills. Like, just throw one of those little passes down the middle, call timeout, everybody go up and do it a couple times, like move forward and just make the field goal as close as possible. But no, they let a whole 30 seconds go off the clock. It gets down to 20 seconds. Then they called the timeout. Like, they didn't know what they were doing. And then they were like, yeah, 64-yarder. That's the plan. We're going to go for a 64-yard field goal. And of course they missed it left just by a hair, but they still missed it. But the all game, I watched the whole game. The Broncos tight ends were killing the Seahawks in those soft areas where they're getting 5-10-yard chunks. And then towards the end of the game, they're just like, yeah, we're just not going to do that anymore. I just didn't understand that. And Nathaniel Hackett's supposed to be an OC. Came from Green Bay. He's supposed to be good. I don't know. He just mismanaged it. I thought I was watching Mike McCarthy or Andy Reid melting down watching that. Even the announcers were like, what's going on? Like, they were very confused.
Yeah.
So it was very, very bad from that standpoint. Now, that's not a good look for a new coach and new ownership. And the first impression they get is that you can't manage a football game. So he's sort of already, he's not in the hot seat, but he's in the limelight in a bad way. Or he's under a spotlight.
Sure.
But new coaches around the league did a really good job this week. They went 6-3-1 from what I can tell.
In his defense, though, he's a new coach. He's a young guy. It's something he's got to learn.
Sure, but Russell Wilson also should have been like, yeah, man, we should run a play here, or we should call it
100%.
There should be that interaction, that teamwork. Somebody should have said something. But Nathaniel Hackett after the game was like, "Oh, I talked to my kicker. He said I can make it from 64, so that's where we were trying to get to." And then they just bled the clock, but they didn't do it in a good way, I guess. They were all just standing around, like they didn't know what they were doing. At least if Peyton Manning was saying it on the Manning cast, he's like, "Oh man, you get to the line, you just try to draw them offsides, get the free first down."
Right.
And then but the big thing, I guess, was they had all 3 timeouts, which didn't make any sense. What are they doing with them? You don't get points for holding them.
Yeah, who knows?
But anyway, I looked at all the other new head coaches, and there's a couple of retreads in here. Todd Bowles is a retread. Lovie Smith is a retread. Josh McDaniels is a retread. But all the other head coaches are new head coaches for the first time. O'Connell for the Vikings won. Dable won for the Giants. Lovie Smith tied, so he didn't technically lose. McDaniel for Miami won. Matt Eberflus won for the Bears. Todd Bowles won for Tampa Bay. Dennis Allen won for the Saints. So it was a pretty good. Oh, and Josh McDaniels, he lost. Nathaniel Hackett lost, and Doug Peterson lost, who's another retread. But all those guys that lost, those games are very close. They could have won those games. So it could have been, I don't know if that's like a weird stat thing or something, but like, I think the NFL averages 8 new head coaches a year, something like that, 6 to 8.
Which is banana lands.
Yeah, and they almost all won or all had a chance to win. I think the Jags are winning with like 2 minutes left. Like I said, the Broncos should have won, and then the Raiders lost to the Chargers. That came down to, I don't have my scores right in front of me, but that game was very close as well. Yeah, 24-19.
Yeah.
No, Raiders Chargers 24-19. So it's still pretty close.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for football. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. It was a pretty good week one. I'm excited. So Sunday turns out to be my birthday, so I'm gonna watch a lot of football. Look over, see if my wife's looking at me. No, I'm gonna watch a lot of football. I'm pretty excited. We don't have any plans. It's gonna sit around and probably crush a bunch of beers, maybe grill some food if it's nice out, and watch a lot of football. Pretty excited about that. So,
This is
NFL,
the season where I schedule everything before noontime.
So the tough thing, especially about pick'em, I feel for the NFL, the first 3 weeks you're not really sure what some of the teams are going to be. So I think it takes like the first 3 or 4 weeks to really flesh out what the teams, some of the ones that are going to be good, some of the ones that aren't going to be good, some of the ones that are going
teams
to
that
be.
didn't play any starters, like the Rams.
Yeah. Even the Patriots could probably be. I mean, Mac Jones played what, one half of football in preseason?
Yeah.
So he probably only played a total of maybe 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think that was another thing they were talking about the Broncos and how like Russ and Nathaniel Hackett, like they didn't do any of the preseason games together.
Yeah.
So like all the calls, because every time he went to the line, there was like 4 seconds left. Like
they actually had on one of
cuts out at
the
15.
One of the third quarter, when I was listening to the Manning cast, they made a mention of it. They had 2 instances on one drive that they had delay a game.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of them.
Which is Peyton and Eli made mention of it, that they're like, yeah, Russ, he wants to get out of the huddle with like 20 seconds left, and they weren't doing it.
No. I don't know if he was giving him like 2 plays and then, call the one that you like. But even if that's the case, you got to say them faster. Like,
yeah.
And yeah, they kept getting delay game. They just seemed discombobulated, but they'll work that out with the more games they play.
Sure.
With the lack of preseasons and the contracts, and people don't want people to get hurt. And, the Sean McVays of the world saying my stars aren't going to play in any of the preseason games. I think all that means is the first 4 weeks are preseason.
Sure. Yeah, we'll
to some degree.
We'll see how it looks. I think definitely the first 2, maybe 3 weeks are preseason, and then they start rolling. Because if you get to week 4 and you're 0-4, you're pretty far behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, and statistically speaking, not statistically speaking. Well, yeah, statistically speaking, if you're 0-4, you have like a 0% chance to make playoffs.
It's pretty low. It's not 0, but it's pretty low.
And then also, what the NFL really wants to do is go to 2 preseason games and have 18 games.
Make more money.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. And the players don't want to play in the preseason games anyway. So it all is what it is. I'm happy if they would just go to 18 games now. That way my win-loss record math would be a lot simpler.
17 games is fucked up.
It's stupid.
So, all right, you good with football?
Yeah, I'm good. It was a good week. I liked it.
So glad I just want to talk one quick thing about golf before we move on. So Sergio, who joined the Live Tour, everybody knows this. Probably he shouldn't have been. A lot of the players are upset that the Live Tour guys got accepted into this DP World Tour, the BMW Championship. I don't remember. It's sponsored by BMW. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but BMW Championship, and
I think it's what it's called.
so Sergio shot like a Thursday, opening day 76, I think it was,
Okay,
and
is it good?
no, it's 4 over at least. It might be 6 over. I don't know what the course was, but anyway, so he shot. I think it was a 76. So he's over par. Well, he withdrew from the tournament, and the next day, literally the next day, that Saturday. Yeah, so it must have been a Friday opening round. That Saturday, he was at the game in Texas. DP World Tour, this tournament was in Europe. So he was at the game Texas against Alabama this on Saturday.
Yeah, it was probably always his plan.
So couple things. Does he have so much fuck you money from the Live Tour that he just says, I don't care. I'm going to the Texas game.
He had that
But
much money before the Live Tour.
probably did. But the DP World Tour is fining him because the rules are you can only withdraw with an injury, and you got to have an actual doctor's injury. He just withdrew and flew what, maybe 14 hours to Texas to watch that game. So
Yeah, I think he knew he was out of it. Maybe it was always his plan to show up, cause a ruckus, and then leave.
Doesn't matter. Be a man. Be a man. Play the second round.
At least.
That's the dumbest thing in the world. He withdraws after the first round. Sergio, I've never liked him.
No, me neither. I only like him in the Dell technology matches because he's great head to head.
Yeah,
match play.
Sure.
That's the only thing he's good at.
He sucks. He's never going to be relevant again. He was barely relevant before. And
he was never really relevant before. And the only time he came out and they're like, he's going to be competition to Tiger Woods. Nobody was competition to Tiger Woods. So, like, he could never live up to it. So,
but Shane Lowry wins that BMW championship, and he came out and he said, "Listen, this is a good win for the good guys," is how he put it. The guys that stayed true for the PGA Tour, and I'm pretty excited. The only thing I'll say is I think it was Justin Thomas or one of the guys that stayed with the PGA. He said this. The guys, his friends that went over to the Live were not. He was like, I'm not going to address them any differently. There's still friends, this and that. But it seems like everything that happens drives a wedge a little farther between all the two divisions of Live and PGA. So we'll see how it plays out going forward. But it seems
at some point there'll either be a compromise or one of the leagues will fold. But the Live guys have been playing like dog shit in any like commingle tournament, DP championship. They just getting shit on.
And not only that, but turns out, and I think I talked about it this weekend. Most of those guys aren't that good. They're on the back.
No.
And I'll use this in pun intended. They're on their back nine of their career, right? There's only a handful of them that are still in the prime or coming up to their prime of their career. So
there's a bunch of them that we did like or do like Louis Oosthuizen, Paul Casey, Lee Westwood.
Henrik.
We liked them, but they were never. They didn't win a lot, but they're still top 50 in the world. They're very likable guys. They just they're all over 45ish, so like the end of their career is over. Like, so them going there and getting a paycheck, I understand.
Sure. And
I think it just makes the tour better, in my
I
opinion.
think the biggest problem I have is Pat Perez is the only one that came out and said, "I did it for the fucking money, bud."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Now the live guys are playing in like 15 tournaments or
20.
more, 20, because they're trying to keep up with the PGA Tour. But they went over there saying they're doing it because we get to play less golf. Well, now they have to play more golf, so now they're tied to even more commitments. So it's
What I
becoming
don't.
interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for 23 in their league. Shit, what was I just gonna say? I had something and I lost it.
So I think the Shark and Phil Mickelson, those are the two main ones that are doing this tour. Um, they always had a gripe with the PGA about how much they were getting paid and stuff like that. That's their biggest gripe. So maybe they're just being greedy, but I think them starting this league has really going to benefit the rest of the PGA Tour as far as raising salaries.
Sure.
Um, so I don't see it as really as like a big bad thing. It's what happens when a lot of money's thrown around. There's more competition, more dollars get spent. I'm just sad that we lost Cam Smith. Out of everyone over there, I'm really the only one I really miss is going to miss is Cam Smith.
And
Everyone
Joaquin Neiman. You
and
you
Joaquin
like
Neiman.
you like
I
those
did.
both guys. No, what I was gonna say is
But like DJ, I don't care about. Bryson didn't care about. Brooks, I didn't care about.
if I know they say they're willing to spend billions of dollars a year, but at some point that money, that $1 billion, you got to start making return on investment. And if you're
Yeah,
going to spend $1 billion a year, I don't know how much the Saudis make, but I
um,
bet,
they get free money. They have oil.
well, sure,
It just comes out of
but
the ground. Their money comes out on fire.
but $1 billion a year they're going to spend. I don't with nothing coming back in.
Yeah,
That's not sustainable, no matter who you are.
I don't. So I know it's Saudi money. I just don't know who it is. I don't know if it's somebody part of the royal family. But if it's somebody part of the royal family, they could fund the league indefinitely,
Maybe if
literally
you're
indefinitely.
if you're Bill Gates, could you spend $1 billion a year?
Bill Gates wouldn't because he's smart with his money, but
No, no,
Saudi
no, no,
could.
no. That's not what I'm asking.
What are you asking?
Could Bill Gates fund a league? Anything. It doesn't even have to be a league. Could he
Yeah,
spend $1 billion a year?
yeah, because he's worth like $77 billion.
So he could do it for 77 years.
Yeah, well, he's going to be dead in like 10. So
That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. With no return on investment, it's a bad investment.
sure.
At what point after 3 or 4 years, if they spent $10 billion in 3 or 4 years, does it seem that good of an investment? It'll be interesting to see what happens. That's all
I
I'm saying.
understand what you're saying, but yeah, unless they get a TV deal, that's what they really need. Um, because right now it's all like free. I don't know where they're making any money right now.
I don't think they have any money. They make some on ticket sales, I'll say, but I would guess it'd be in the thousands of dollars.
And even then, I thought during their tournament or whatever, they were making a joke at one of the majors because the beer prices were like $18 a beer, and so like the live ones were like normal prices. They're like $6 to $8 a beer.
Hmm.
So they're
But
like,
but each tournament you make $30,000 on tickets and food sales because they only play 3 rounds too, so you
sure,
don't have
yep,
that fourth round.
sure, and we know it's all about money.
Yeah, it'd be
I don't know.
interesting to see how sustainable that is.
I'm just curious as to which network's gonna be the one that's like, here's $1 billion, TV contract.
Not NBC. They're associated with PGA.
No, probably not ESPN.
They're no, they're not owned by probably not ESPN, Disney, which owns Hulu, ESPN, Disney, and
Yeah.
then Fox is really your only, maybe Turner Sports, but I'd be surprised if either of them go after it.
Yeah. I don't know if they want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
No. You could get BBC.
I mean, unless some other new thing comes out that's some they invent their own TV network or own streaming service, then maybe they could do it. Or if they buy like Fubo Sports or something like that, then they could just,
Sure.
broadcast it on that.
Sure.
So that's the only way I see it working.
Yep.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Shane Lowry, he told Rory, "You've done enough winning this year." After he won that,
They're pretty good buddies. So
yeah, because Rory finished second to him.
yeah.
There's nothing to talk about the Red Sox. It's Red Sox Yankees tonight. But literally, I turned it on, looked at the stands. Nobody's there.
4-4 on top of 9 in Boston.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean anything. Like
No.
it's not even TV entertaining at this point. And normally that rivalry is, but right now it's not.
So Boston is the only team in the AL East that is below 500. Even Baltimore is above 500.
Mhm.
They're bad.
Yeah, and they're both coming back. I don't think there's anything to talk about the Bruins or Celtics.
No, not much going on.
Extracurriculars. We're just going to keep on golfing. TV shows, Game of Thrones, Star Trek Lower Decks. You said Blackbird, Lord of the Rings, Ring of Power, Wheel of Time. Those are all TV shows going on right now.
Yeah, we just finished Blackbird on Sunday. Watched that before the newest Game of Thrones or House of Dragon.
Actually, that's what I'm going to go do now. I'm actually, right after this, I'm going to go watch an episode.
You should catch up on all the episodes.
Sure,
so we
but
can
one
actually talk
episode a
about
night.
it a little more. I only watched first episode of Rings of Power. Timo doesn't like it. I take most shows at face value.
Yeah, I never read the books. I don't really.
No, so I don't care that much. If it's entertaining, I'm good with it. So which I do need to watch Lower Decks. I've never actually watched it. What's it on?
I watch it on Paramount Plus.
I don't have Paramount Plus. It's like the only one I probably don't have.
Yep. But if you've never really watched Star Trek, you might not enjoy it as much. But they're really short episodes.
20 minutes?
Yeah, about
25
20
minutes? Okay.
All right. You can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Podchaser, Buzzsprout, and Google Podcasts. You can now watch the episodes on YouTube on New England Sports Guys channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and help us out. Hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. That's it for me. Signing off. Till next time.
Yeah. Appreciate it, E. Let's catch up next week. Another episode. Appreciate everybody out there listening. It was a pretty good episode. I think we had a lot of good stuff on week 1 at NFL, and you're over under. You're fucking drunk as fuck.
They're not gonna lose the division. 3-3 is fine.
They're gonna go 2-4.
3-3 at worst.
All right. I'll catch you later. E.
See ya.